Hello everyone, today I'm going to create beautiful bracelet made out of tiny little flowers, which I'm going to show you how to crochet. And crocheting is going to be the most difficult part while making this bracelet, especially for those of you who are not familiar with this technique. Things that you need include crochet thread size 10, the hook itself size 6. You will also need clamps, which will be used to open and close the bracelet itself, and you will also need a needle. So let's begin crocheting the first flower. I'm going to grab my piece of thread and I'm going to wrap it around my finger twice. The second time I'm just going to cross it over like that. Then I'm going to put my hook underneath and I'm just going to grab the piece of thread that is crossing over. Pass it through and let go of your finger. This way, I just created my first knot. And now I'm going to have to create a chain of 5 knots, and this is how I do it. I wrap the main piece of thread around my finger, and then I'm going to use a hook to grab it, and then pass it through the very first knot here. There you go. So this is the first loop. Again, using the hook, I'm going to grab a piece of thread and pass it through the first loop here. Second loop. Third loop. Fourth loop. And fifth loop. So now we have a chain of 5 loops here. We are going to connect the beginning and ending of this chain. So what you want to do, you're going to go back to the very first loop that you created and pass your hook through it. Once you pass your hook through the very first knot, you will grab a piece of thread and you're going to pass this piece of thread through the very first loop that you have here. And you will also pass it, here you go, and you will also pass it through the last loop as well. And this way you have connected the chain of 5. So now we will start creating petals of the flower itself. To create the first petal, we have to create a chain of 7. So using exactly the same technique, grab a piece of thread with the hook and pass it through the very first loop here. So this is the first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh loop. So we have a chain of 7. Here is the middle of your flower. So what you are going to do, you are going to pass the hook through the middle. There you go. And you are going to grab a fresh piece of thread and you're going to pass it through the middle of your flower. There you go. So now you just created a new loop, and make sure you pass this piece of loop through the very last loop of your chain that you just created. And your first petal of the flower is ready. You're going to create another chain of 7. Pass your hook through the center. Grab a fresh piece of thread, pass it through the middle of your flower, And then you're gonna pass this loop through the last loop of your chain. And your second petal is ready. Continuing. Going back into the middle of the flower, pass your hook through, grab a fresh piece of thread, and then make sure you pass that thread through your last loop of the petal. There you go. And another chain of 7. Going back into the middle of your flower here, pass your hook through, grab a fresh piece of thread, pass it through the middle, and then make sure you pass it through the loop of your petal as well. And now we have 4 petals. I'm just gonna create last one here. Going back in, grab a piece of fresh thread, pass it through your petal, and your flower is ready. Now what you want to do is to cut off the remaining piece of thread. Okay, and just pass this whole thread through. There you go. Turn your flower around, and what I like to do is to take my hook and pass the strings a little bit so they are in the middle, so when you tie a knot you won't see it anywhere here on the flower. So I'm just gonna pass my hook through anywhere you wish to. On the other side you won't see it anyway. Pass the first string, and then from the other side grab the string and pass it through. Now we can tie a knot here. Now you just have to fix your flower a little, the petals of your flower a little bit. Place them evenly around the center of the flower itself, and your first flower is ready. So I'm going to connect my first 2 flowers by passing the needle through one of the petals of the first flower first, and I'm going to pass the needle going from the bottom up. And I'm going to do the opposite for the second flower. And I'm going to pass the needle in the opposite direction, starting from the top and going to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to flip my 2 flowers so I can tie a knot between them. This is how my bracelet looks at the end. Here I attached clamps in order to open and close the bracelet. Please check out my blog for more details and to see the outfit which I picked for this bracelet.